On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will put Ahsoka Season 1 to bed by revisiting their wants and predictions from before it aired. Since it's hard to say goodbye, they'll also recap the show's best moments and maybe even a few of its duds if Nick is feeling spicy. But first, they'll discuss some new insights into Del Toro's Jabba the Hutt canceled film, as well as some news about Star Wars movie hitting other networks in the near future. Of course, the show will end with a question of the week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie. Hey, now, everybody! Hey, you guys! I feel like doing the truffle shuffle. Anyone want to take off their shirts and shake their jiggly? As Arnold calls it now, his boodle. I love that guy. Arnold Schwarzenegger's always been a hero of mine. I don't know about you, Nick. I mean, I'm a pure child of the 80s. I know you took a few years to come out. But when I think back to my childhood, and I probably shouldn't have been watching all of his movies as a 5-6-year-old, but I mean, he was the guy. Like, he was everything. Commando, Running Man, Predator, Terminators, you name it, into the comedy career. And being someone that likes to, work on his body a bit, I've always enjoyed him in Pumping Iron and all of his Olympia stuff before he became an actor. So the reason we're talking Arnold, he just did an interview on Stern last week and it was fantastic. It reminded me of how much I love this dude, how much of a mang he is, and just an overall, good person. He made some fuck ups. He rammed his maid and had a bastard son, but he's paid for that, and I don't think he's happy with his choice. And hey, everyone's human, makes some fuck ups, but apparently, Nick, he's got a new book out, a motivational book, and it's supposed to be excellent. So if you're someone out there that you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you need a little Austrian kick in the ass, you got to check it out. Well, you live in like Arnold Central. I mean, that's where they hold the Arnold every year. You live, 20 minutes from where they could ride my one wheel if I wasn't scared of the one wheel at this point in time. Yes, 100%. Dude. Yeah. Because Taylor went there. Taylor used to be an Olympic weightlifter. Oh yeah, it's a mecca. Kind of like that. Like the Arnold is the mecca for fitness people. Bodybuilding, CrossFit, martial arts, powerlifting. Yeah. It's like their Olympics every year. So 100%. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, she competed there one year and just had she didn't do as well as she wanted to in the competition, but I mean, she just had a great time, being there, seeing all of the different, fitness people, seeing all of the different bodybuilders. Nick, was she just powerlifters, CrossFit, or was she into the body, female bodybuilding, fitness pageants, that type of shit? No, never did any of that. So basically, she did CrossFit from before she moved back to America in 2015 because she lived in Italy with her parents for a while. But she moved back to the U.S. into Austin in 2014. And from that time, she was doing CrossFit. But then probably around 2018 or so, she stopped doing CrossFit and moved exclusively to doing Olympic weightlifting, which is the weightlifting you see in the Olympics. Olympic weightlifting is not powerlifting. Right. Those are two different things. Correct. So she started doing Olympic lifting in 2018, and then she went to the Arnold and competed in Olympic weightlifting in 2021, the year after the pandemic, when things kind of settled down a little bit more. Or it might have been 2019. It might have been the year before the pandemic. I can't remember if it was 2019 or 2021, but she was in Columbus, went to the Arnold, competed, saw all of the, she saw her favorite Olympic lifter, compete, and just got to see all of the craziness that goes on at the Arnold, because the Arnold is everything. Yep.
bodybuilding, it's powerlifting, it's Olympic lifting, it's all of it. So she had a great time for sure.
It can. I'll tell you what, the convention floor smells a little bit because everyone there is dieting or cutting, so you get a lot of that spray tan smell and ketosis because everyone is essentially in ketosis at a bodybuilding expo. I used to go every year when I was hardcore into the bodybuilding scene, and got to ride around with some of the old meatballs in their limos. It was quite an experience. But yeah, anyways. Arnold's the fucking man. I love that guy. He's a hero of mine, just like Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is up there too. I look to Snoop. He's like my shaman. His lifestyle is one I like to mimic as much as I can. So there you go. Yeah. My role models are Snoop Dogg, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Darth Vader. So there you go. Now you know why I am the way I am on this show, which includes dealing with stupid fans. As Nick, it was funny. Nick, with his... He's making some content these days, kind of getting into it, seeing how people interact, and he's finally started to see just how brain dead most Star Wars fans are. And I'm like, see, dude? See? I know I'm a little crazy to begin with, but now maybe you might get some of my outbursts on the show, because it's like, are we even in the same universe with these people when it comes to processing moving Star Wars images and coming up with a thoughtful explanation about what you just saw? It is crazy, isn't it? Yeah, no, I mean, it is I know that, and I work in marketing and social media and stuff like that. So I basically know that it doesn't matter what somebody could go on to a post and just leave a string of emojis that don't mean anything. All that does is help us. So I looked at the TikTok one time, and it was on one of the posts where I was like, I want to see the heroes struggle. And the guy, the comment was, well, didn't all the Jedi get wiped out in Order 66? That was a struggle. I was like, that was 40 years ago. Right, and how does that have any bearance on the story that's being told in Ahsoka? I was like, Jesus, man, it's just it's really sometimes if you go on there and you don't just look at it for just purely for numbers, it's man, people have a really weird way of thinking about stuff. It is wild. I mean, it's people were telling our buddies over at Beyond the Dune Sea that this show was set after A New Hope and all sorts of other odd theories. Speaking of Beyond the Dune Sea, they put out a bit last week that I have to mention. It's listen, you know me. I fucking hate everyone else that talks about Star Wars outside of Nick and myself. Okay, so this is some emotional growth for Matt here, that I can actually talk about and promote another show that's directly competing with us, if not has already blown us out of the water. Because they nailed a great content drop in the middle of Ahsoka, and their IG account went from 10 to 3,000 or 4,000. So they now have an engaged audience, which we still do not. We're getting there with Nick's help here. But I'm happy for what happened to them. But they did a great bit last week where they the one guy got all dressed up as Anakin. He's pretending he was a Force Ghost. If you want to check out something that's not just one guy that's even keel and the other guy's insane, and they add a little production to their show, check them out. I'm becoming a huge fan, even though it hurts me to say that. So, fuck you, Connor, but I love you. All right, does that make sense? Don't get upset. I do love you. You guys are kicking ass. But hey, come on, keep promoting us, right? Just say, hey, we learned about this from these guys, even if you didn't, right? Throw us a bone. All right, Nick. So, hey, we're back to no new Star Wars. So thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. No, we figure out some stuff to talk about. But if you are new here to a non-in-season Star Wars episode of the SWTS, prepare for even more tangents and randomness. If you're on the live stream, and by the way, we'd love for you to join 5 p. East, back on Tuesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But we sometimes we'll do a little pop culture. We'll go off the rails. I'll get angry. Nick will be calm. I'll cut him off. Stuff like that. His fans will get mad at me and send me shit in the mail. So I want to kick things off with a pretty fantastic new IP in the sci-fi space. And, Nick and I have been talking about this. I didn't get to see it week one. Got to check it out finally last week. But I took in Gareth Edwards, the creator. And I have to say, wow. I mean, this this is the type of movie I live for, right? New IP, fantastic visuals, interesting but familiar sci-fi conundrum, with AI, and is AI real? AI and organics, what does that mean when they do become sentient? Should they get the same rights, so on and so forth? And they take it even a bit further to where, like, the world kind of splits on that view, where you have us, the military hardcore mangs of America wanting to annihilate AI, where the rest of the world kind of wants to harbor them and treat them like another species. In fact, almost like an evolution of humanity, which, if we think about it, that is going to be the next evolution. It probably will be sentient AI. And hey, I might sound crazy, but fuck all of you. I mean, look how much has changed in just not even a year's time since the release of ChatGPT. It's insane what this shit can do. So yes, I do believe at some point in time, especially because we're the motherfuckers programming and training these things, they will eventually develop human emotions. They already have our implicit biases because we unknowingly build it into the code, but it's inevitable. So anyways, the creator, all right? Visually fantastic. I mean, just looks great. Nothing looks fake. Everything looks unique. Black Series, someone from the toy photography community, he just created a custom figure to look like some of the true AI in the film, and it looked great. But it just, like, visually, this film stands above a lot of sci-fi. It just kind of feels fresh. The vehicles, the city streets, the AIs, how they build them. I forget what they call them. They have some AIs that wear a skin. They have a special name for them. But it's just visually fantastic. And really, the story, while, I'd argue there's a few problems here and there, pacing. Things may go too fast. Things are glossed over a bit. But the story's actually pretty damn good as well. There's full character growth for the main characters. This little actress, I don't know her name, and I'm ashamed for that, but she steals the show. The little kid on the poster here, just absolutely amazing. Definitely will pull on your heartstrings towards the end. And I usually know that's a good sign. Like, if my Grinch level heart can feel something, especially when it's technically not a real human being, then I feel that the creators have done their job. So, speaking of the creators, Gareth Edwards, Nick, we've heard Tony, Lord Gilroy shit talk him more or less, right? Like, pretty much threw him under the bus with Rogue One.
Tony rewrites the last 10 minutes of a movie and then takes credit for the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, we make fun of Tony Gilroy a lot on this show, and I think deservingly so, because he takes credit for Rogue One, a movie that he worked on for 2.5 days, and then says, it's my movie. It's like, the dude is an egomaniac.
Yeah, but hey, we love him. We call him Lord Gilroy for a reason. He gave us Andor, and it is some choice live-action Star Wars. I mean, it's undeniable. He truly is a skilled man. He's one of the biggest narcissists on the planet, though, and I really felt like he kind of did Gareth dirty, even more so now after watching this movie. And like I told Nick, I mean, you sit through the credits, it's like, created by Gareth, directed by Gareth, screenplay by Gareth and somebody, original this by somebody. It's like, Jesus. I mean, his fingerprints are all over this. And I have to give a human credit when they can cook up a world like this on paper and then organize a studio, hundreds of people, actors, whatnot, to craft his vision onto the big screen. So I don't know how it did box office wise. I'm sure not well, which is going to be a shame. Yeah, I just read that Expendables 4 has been in like the top 10 for the past 3 weeks. So who knows? Maybe there's a chance. But this is a movie you definitely should check out in theaters. Don't sit around and wait for streaming at home. It warrants a big screen watch. And I'm ashamed. What do you know this dude's name, Nick? I mean, he's been in a bunch of big movies. Tenet.
That's like John David Washington.
Yeah, there you go. Name. The first time I ever saw him was in Dwayne's the Ballers series,
Ballers,
which is another great series. So Have fun with that. But 2 thumbs up for me on the creator. If you want a number, it's 8, maybe 8.5. It's very enjoyable. For people that like Star Wars, you'll have a hard time not liking the creator. How's that?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those movies that I want to see, like, once we get back into a theater, because we haven't been for a bit now. But the creator was one where, like, last time we went, we saw previews and we're like, we were both like, this seems really cool. So I do think that we will try to go see it in its theatrical run before it inevitably goes to some streaming service.
Yeah. You best. Because, I mean, unless you got a killer home setup, this is one that, if you see the ship on the poster, that's worth seeing on a big screen alone. Like, some of the noises that thing makes and what it does, that's worth seeing with some sound and with some screen size, as they like to say. All right, that's the creator. I did have something else to say, but naturally it's been forgotten. So I guess we'll just get right into stuff. You know what I mean? These days, if I don't just switch right to it, and for those of you that get upset when I cut Nick off, a lot of times it's for that reason right there. I'm like, if I don't shit this out of my mouth, it's gone. Like, it's gonna be fucking deleted in the holy brain. Okay, so again, it's never to be rude to my man. You just never know. I get excited sometimes. Damn it, it was a decent thought too. It's like I don't have many decent thoughts, and I like to get them out when I do cook them up. But oh well. All right, so I mean, typically for the past 8 weeks at this point in time, we'd be settling in for close to 2 hours of Ahsoka analysis, and while we do still plan to touch on Ahsoka, this is going to be our, as we like to call it, the Ahsoka punch out. Not physically slapping her around, but a construction term. We're punching out the job, putting it to bed. We're leaving it alone until hopefully season 2 gets announced. But before that, we've got some low-hanging fruit to get through, some things we really haven't dealt with over the past 7 weeks as we've been giving you our expert Ahsoka analysis, and yes, expert with a capital E. And the one Nick, we didn't have much time a week or two ago when we first heard about this, but we got some more insights last week in about the Guillermo del Toro Jabba the Hutt movie. And he sat down with, I think it was Collider, and talked a little bit more about it. Dropped one line that I'd like to hear Nick's thoughts on it and what he dreamed it would have turned out to be. But Nick, when they kind of asked him about, we already know it was going to be about Jabba the Hutt. We heard some rumblings from MSW way back when that Alden Ehrenreich was going to be involved. They're kind of try to use the end of the Solo movie to kind of lead into this Jabba the Hutt film. But now, thanks to this interview, Guillermo has revealed that the movie was truly going to be the complete rise and fall of Jabba the Hutt. He was super happy about it. I'll just read what he's saying here. We were doing a lot of stuff, and then it's not my property, it's not my money, and then it's one of those 30 screenplays that goes away. Sometimes I'm bitter, sometimes I'm not. I always turn to my team and say, good practice, guys. Good practice. We designed a great world. We designed great stuff. We learned. And then he went on and said, you can never be ungrateful with life. Whatever life sends you, there's something to be learned from it. So, I trust the universe. I do. When something doesn't happen, I go, why? I try to have a dialogue with myself. Why didn't it happen? And the more you swim upstream with the universe, the less you're going to realize where you're going. Listen to that, people. I don't give a fuck if he's talking about Star Wars or not. That is some great fucking advice in life. Both of those quotes, the one being how to handle disappointment and lost work, and the second one being, don't fight the fucking universe. And I like that he said universe, because I am someone, I was conscripted into Catholicism, didn't have a choice, confirmed all that, did it until I was like 21, and I've broken free of all that stuff. I don't even know if I want to say I'm spiritual, but I most definitely believe in the universe. I think I've said it before on the show. I think I've more or less settled on whatever the Native Americans believed in. being in like a symbiotic relationship with the universe, the earth, all that fun shit, like real hippie stuff. But honestly, I think a lot more grounded in reality than magical people. Okay, but that's my take. But I like what he said there, Nick. But what I want to get out of you is the rise and fall of Jabba the Hutt. I mean, how far back do you think he was going? Like, are we going back to Narhada and the Hutt Council, and he gets anointed to take over the Tatooine sector, or is it just starting with him in his castle, stuff like that? Like did Jabba the Hutt really have a rise to glory story? I just figured he was always there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, and that was kind of this. Like when he said that, I was like, all right, well, the fall angle of it is very clear because it's already played out. So you would probably do a little. I mean, like I don't know how much, and this was just a screenplay. It was probably just a pitch. He probably didn't even have very long development talks with the people at Lucasfilm on well, what can you use for the fall, and can you use material that's already been done in ROTJ, but specifically around the rise. I mean, there has to have been a plan to show him on Nal Hutta or something like that, because I feel like if you pick up and he's already in Jabba's castle on Tatooine, and he's kind of running things in that area, you do kind of miss out on what you could almost play as a hero story, an interesting character development.
Yay, technology. Yeah.